Hey, good evening, good afternoon, good evening. It's July 14, 2021, the day before July 15, 2021, in the Western Hemisphere. It's about quarter after 6 in Dallas, and that means it's about the same time in Honduras. And I want to talk specifically to anybody that used to be Miss Charity's student at Coral Springs Bilingual School in Puerto Cortes in Honduras. How are you guys doing? Hey, listen, I don't know how frequently you all get to see my videos. If you even know about them, maybe you've tried looking me up and you've seen them. You can think whatever you want. You are completely entitled to have your opinion and to have an appropriate response. But I want to go on the record and say something official. At some point in time, it became aware to me that as a teacher, I might have a relationship to you, not only at the time, but later on in your life that could have an implication what your futures could be, your future prospects, the things you do, maybe opportunities you could have later in life. Nobody told me about this. Nobody told me I could have such relationships with my old teachers. And I haven't been able to get in contact with any of you for a variety of reasons, right? So I haven't been able to see where you are with this or what you know about this. But I'm going to let you know right now, under no circumstances do you have to honor or respect anybody else saying you owe me a damn thing. You don't owe me anything. On the contrary, I've taken steps here to assure that if anybody tried to use my time with you, whether it was in the classroom or outside of the classroom, or anything else I did in Honduras, or anything else you've done in Honduras that might be connected to me, and any acts of financial exploitation, or any efforts to try to obligate you to something in the future, I am going to assure that that is not going to be able to be possible. On the other hand, there are measures that I've taken that within 10 years of 2020 could potentially be to your advantage. But unfortunately, for the next 8 to 9 years, that's not going to be available to you. See, I consider that to be the least that any teacher you encountered should have done. And in some ways, some teachers, they get involved with group organizing and they do work within the political system in order to make sure that the young people they teach are taken care of. But my concern is that what's happened is people are trying to use the payment to teachers and say that somehow their students are obligated to pay them. That's not the truth. If your parents agreed to pay for your schooling, that's on your parents. And your parents don't have the right to exploit you. See, I've met with your parents when I was there. They came to open houses. I sent letters home. You know about that. So it's not like your parents had any false pretenses or any misrepresentations from me. But my understanding is that school was a multi-denominational school. Some of you were Catholic. Some of you were evangelical. Some of you were Mormon. Some of you didn't have a religious preference that you talked about or that your family talked about. The point is that wasn't supposed to be relevant at the school. Your religious preference was nobody's business. And nobody else had any right to try to impose their religious preference onto you. If anybody, be it a teacher or your principal or even the minister of education, should think that they're entitled to subject you to some sort of religious persecutorial test or try to challenge you in whatever they think as an appropriate expression of your religious or faith tradition, and you can find a way to contact me, then you can feel free to. But if you can't, or for whatever reason don't want to, please know, I would never, ever support anybody trying to impose their religious ideology onto you, regardless of what your religion is. You have a right to be free and authentic in your expression of your religion, or to not even have one. And nobody has any right to try to manipulate you, coerce you, or try to force you to do something against what you believe in, even if it means on threat of life. Now, I would not threaten your life, and I would not support anybody who did. But I'm not stupid. I know you live in a place where things like that happen. Sometimes they happen frequently. So you have a right to defend yourself by all means possible. I will let you know that it has come to my attention that people that think that they had a right to abuse the time I was your educator, and perhaps even in co-conspiracy with other teachers in that school, as well as administrators, thought that they could sign you up to be a party to something that they never talked to you about. As a matter of fact, I am sure that as of today, nobody from Coral Springs Bilingual School at any grade has been apprised of the details of the Department of Defense budget, the Department of State budget, or anything issued from the United States Treasury having to do with an effort to try to use them or their lives? Has anybody talked to you about your obligations to the United States government? Has anybody talked to you about what your country, the nation of Honduras, would expect to be your financial obligations to your country? That would include your Honduran teachers, whether it be in English or Spanish or maybe Arabic, or maybe Russian, maybe another language. And until they do, you are under absolutely no obligation and have absolutely no requirement to cooperate with anything they try to say you are required to do. Most of you are not yet above the legal age of consent to engage a contract of such a sort. Some of you either are or are about to be. I support you in whatever you do moving forward. I hope that you do the best you can to be a lawful and responsible person. I hope you do what you can to be ethical and honorable with other people. But nobody had any right to deceive you and try to specially select you to be required to perform some secret service for their opportunistic gain. Their responsibility was to make sure you were safe. Period. That was the first and foremost responsibility. And until they did that, they had absolutely no legitimacy trying to think that you could be involved with anything else in their lives. I've done what I can. I'm not expecting any of you to contact me. You owe me nothing. But I do hope that you get this message. I do hope you get this message, and I hope you know that you are that important. Every single one of you. You are that important. And nobody should ever be allowed to tell you you're not.